Cody Alexander, match quarters. We're going to take a look at a run fit versus zone. One things that you will see NFL teams do is they will get in what I call a jet front. So they're going to have 5 and 3s, and then they're going to bring in a safety as kind of that 7-man box, I call it 3 wide, because they're dropping the safety to the tight end. So we're going to look at that run fit. Washington, again, has one of the best run defenses in the NFL. Right now, Football Outsiders has them number 2 in DVOA in terms of rush. So let's look at what we're going to get here. So we have a typical 4-2-5 alignment, except for they're going to get in a jet front versus 11 personnel. We've got pistol. A lot of times pistol means that we're going to get some sort of a zone. Now teams can run pistol if they want to get a gap power or kind of a same side counter, kind of that downhill, but it's really more or less a zone principle, especially when we're looking at the Eagles. So we're going to get a cross motion, and I'm just setting this up for the coverage piece. You're going to see the nickel go across with the slot. That's typical of NFLs, where they're just going to lock the nickel. Normally it's a third corner, so they're just going to lock the nickel on the number 2 receiver. Now you do get the safety to the tight end that's going to come down, which is why I call this 3 wide. So let's look at the front mechanics of this. So we're going to have a 3 technique and a 3 technique. We're going to have 2 linebackers. Essentially, what are going to be in he is going to be in a 40 because you've got a tight end here. You're going to get him in what is going to be a 20. Now, you see that both 3 techniques are going to step to the guard. And the reason why they're going to step to the guard is they're reading that near hip of the guard. So let's start over here. The guard steps down. So we're getting a zone action to the defense's left, offense's right. Now, he's going to step once that guard goes, then he's now going to press that guard vertical, attempting to get this double team. He's got to hold that gap. Now, let's go to the other side. We're going to get him stepping down to the guard. Now, he's going to get zoned because he's stepping to the guard. That's okay as long as he holds that gap. He can't get double zone. Notice how he's fighting across that center space to now stick into this gap. Now, let's look at linebackers. Once they see zone, this linebacker is going to leverage the A gap. This linebacker is going to leverage the C gap. So it's A to C. It's what you would consider kind of like an odd spacing way of fitting this. He can now work to the A gap because everybody's kind of pulling the chain, because he now has the run through the B gap. So this is why they bring this guy down. You're going to see the D end work outside leverage of this. He's going to now be the heel line. And because the tight end has to now take care of that defensive end, it allows this safety to quickly get there. We're going to have the linebacker work to the A gap. We're going to have the other linebacker work to the C gap. The defensive end on the other side is going to hold his gap, but he can peek back inside if he wants to. We call this a heavy technique, knockback, and then I'm going to fall back into that gap. That allows him and that guard go ahead and press me vertical, and it ends up kind of almost being a stunt, right? He's going to work in to close this gap. He can now work to fit the C gap. You've got him holding that double team, working now across the center's face. I'm now pressing this guard, trying to close off as much. He's essentially stack track fallback, right? He's reading off of his anchor point. He sees that this A gap's closed, so now he can fall back. And what we end up getting is the safety on the run through, and the defensive end, the play side defensive end at the point of attack, falling back in and collecting this. Now we have a mass humanity, and it's only a couple yard gap. So let's go back to the top. Again, this is going to be a jet front mechanics versus zone action. You've pretty much got 2 even backers. Most of the time when you get 11 personnel, and he's kind of hipped in here, you can put him in 30s. Since he's out and we have a pistol, it could be wide zone action that way. So we're going to plus it to the tight end. So let's let this run through. Notice how everybody's fitting, working through their anchor points. And because we get the open run through in the 3Y, the safety is able to attack. Very limited gain. This is a good example and a nice change up to your 4-man front going to a jet action versus a zone team.